the buzz is probably on Kansas State more now than has been in a while, which sounds good, but then I do kind of hesitate and pump the brakes a little bit just because is that just the craze and the good vibes from a visit, and sometimes those don't last.
Hello and welcome into another edition of Three Mom. John Kurtz, Derek Young, Cole Manbeck, everybody back together here. And we are damn glad to be here, okay? We're going to talk a lot of football recruiting. Cole and I are not as equipped to do that as DY, so thankfully he is back today. We'll start with Ian Premer. And, man, talk about a recruitment like that. You might need a drink to get ready. A lot on the line here. And just really one of those like internet rivalry sort of recruitments that's going on. So pull up a glass of Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon or 360 vodka. Tell you what, I hung out at the pool quite a bit this past weekend, and it was a great time to just be sitting by a pool with the sunshine, like awesome summer days for some Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon or 360 vodka. So go get that from our friends at Holiday Distillery. Welcome back. DY, looks like you got some sun.
I did, and I didn't get as burnt as I did last year, so that was good. Last year, I was basically a lobster, and I couldn't even lay down at one point. So,
where were you?
Was it Cabo?
This time it was Cancun.
Did they have Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon in Cancun?
I didn't see it. The one trip I went on where I actually found it was in Utah.
Well,
Salt Lake.
If they got it in Utah, folks, it's everywhere. And I will just say then, though, that I tweeted out a picture. I got a few bottles of Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon stocked up recently in my basement bar, and tweeted out a picture of it on Saturday night. And I had a couple people ask me if they thought their local liquor store would have it in different markets. One of them was in Omaha, from somebody who follows me and listens to the show. And yes, they do have it in Omaha. They're everywhere. So any major retailer should have it. If they don't have it, ask them to get it in. But yeah, like I've seen pictures from listeners seeing it and my friends in Las Vegas and Nashville. So the Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon products are all over the place.
Wow. On the way out to Vegas, huh? They made it to the entertainment capital of the world. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, you have no excuses, people. That's what you just heard from Cole there. You have literally no excuse to go find your Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon. Okay. Well, Ian Premer makes his visit to K-State over the weekend. Tight end, best player in the state of Kansas, national recruitment that has come down to K-State, Kansas, Iowa State, and Notre Dame. All the visits have now taken place. How are you feeling, DY, coming out of visit weekend for K-State?
Yeah, it's interesting. This one, depending on who you talk to, all four schools may have been in the lead at some point, or maybe it's been one school all along and a lot of misinformation is out there, quite frankly. So it's been a hard one to gauge and pin down. What I would say from a visit standpoint is, by all accounts, it was an impressive visit. It went super well, and Kansas State knocked it out of the park, which is probably to be expected. A lot of these go very, very well often anyway. So kind of in wait and see mode. What I would say, again, I already said that, but Kansas State, the buzz is probably on Kansas State more now than has been in a while, which sounds good, but then I do kind of hesitate and pump the brakes a little bit just because is that just the craze and the good vibes from a visit, and sometimes those don't last, right? That has like a 24, 48-hour grace period, and then things come back to the surface level, so to speak. So it's interesting how this one will shake out. I've been going into the visit, I was told the top two in three different forms. I had some sources that say it was Notre Dame or K-State. I had some sources that say it was K-State or Iowa State, and I still had some that said Iowa State or Notre Dame. Now, a few weeks ago, KU was a lot more prevalent. They may still be. I think they have one of the better financial packages on the table for Ian Premer, What I will say is that's the school that's probably gone the most quiet in terms of buzz, and could be a coincidence. Maybe it isn't, but obviously them taking a second tight end not long ago and Kevin Sullivan from Rockhurst, we'll see if that actually is impactful at all. I know Ian Premer will say, no, it isn't. I'm still considering KU the same way, and KU is obviously still more than wants to take him, but not a lot of guys sign up to be a third tight end. Well, I don't know how much of a role that's playing, but in any event, it is a little bit quieter on KU than it was maybe a week or two ago.
Which is so interesting, DY, because there seems to be a strong amount of confidence in the KU fan base that they think they're getting him and that they think they've been out in front for weeks.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was starting to hear and feel that as of about 5 to 7 days ago. Not sure I still feel that way. Again, it's hard to know if there's some misinformation here or what to actually glean from it or what to actually put stock in, because there's a lot of contradicting pieces of information in relation to this recruitment. But I think KU has done a really, really good job. And at least going into the weekend, I think they had the biggest financial package that was on the table. And obviously that's something to put stock in as well. And to be honest, like going into the weekend, I probably thought Iowa State was the leader.
Which, going back months ago, I mean, that's Iowa State was the one that I really feared. And like, I don't know, wasn't there a long period of time where it seemed like Iowa State was probably the potential leader in the clubhouse there?
Coming out of the winter, a little bit in the spring, yes. If I'm going to say like the most consistent school that I hear in connection to Premer, it is probably Iowa State. But I will say nothing at this point would surprise me in terms of which way it will go. But there seems to be more Kansas State momentum than there has been in a long time.
Which, again, like makes sense coming off of a visit, right? And that's the thing that I think is just like so tough with all of this. Like you can just sort of see this different psyches at play here. I mean, like, first of all, like for Notre Dame and anyone that you would be talking to, like on the Notre Dame side of things, like, you know, I mean, it's ho-hum. It's just another recruitment for them, right? Like they're after kids like this all the time. Iowa State, I will say it feels like Iowa State has been relatively chill, but they're also, Iowa State's not going to throw out a ton of money, right? They're not going to be one that works with a bunch of money and gets all excited about that. They're going to win you over with like culture and their coaching staff, you know, which clearly they are very good and recruiters. And then for Kansas, they're in, you know, throw money around here in this recruiting class, be very excited about what this class has been mode. They, I think, have been a little bit out over their skis with some of that excitement. Doesn't mean that they can't still land him, but that's the vibe that you're getting there. And then, I don't know, K-State, it feels, don't spend like a little bit defensive, just like, damn, I mean, like, come on. Like, I thought we were the hometown team here that you grew up liking. And, you know, those are just, I guess that's kind of a vibe check for me on everything. I'm not saying that's necessarily coaches or fans or both or whatever. That to me is the vibe check of where this recruitment is.
Yeah, I would say Kansas State is the hometown pool. Notre Dame is probably more mystique, tradition, prestige there. But they're probably working against proximity a little bit. I think some folks think that's a factor here. Iowa State, say what you will about them, but I think that's his favorite coaching staff. So that plays a role. I just think financially they're probably a little bit more limited than the other three schools.
Now, DY, I need to caution you. The Discord has been very upset with you and I for saying too many nice things about Iowa State lately. So
I'm not trying to say something nice, just saying the facts and evidence in terms of this recruitment.
Yes, but yeah. DY, you know that this is 2025, and even if you're stating a fact, it can be that you're just biased. I mean, this is biased reporting because you and I just love the clones right now. So saying that Iowa State has the favorite coaching staff of Ian Premer here, I'm just telling you might get in trouble.
I love facts. I love facts too, guys. Iowa State 18-20 from 2021 to 23-12-15 in the Big 12 until they had a fluke 11-win season last year, which got to 11 wins because Miami in the Pop-Tarts Bowl decided to bench Cam Ward up by multiple scores at halftime and play a backup quarterback that was horrendous. in the second half to allow Iowa State to squeak out a victory against a Miami team that didn't want to be there to get to 11 wins in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but also nearly lost and should have lost to UCF at home in Ames that year. And so, it understands why you'd love that coaching staff, because illustrious season after season, tons of money there in Ames to put on the table, even though they can't afford to have even a top 2 offer for a top tight end in the country. So, I certainly understand it.
Cole, that coaching staff even includes the second best quarterback on K-State's 2013 football roster.
Okay. All right.
I'm back, guys. I'm back.
Okay. I was wondering if you would go there. So
hey, only one quarterback on the 2013 roster was an honorable mention All Big 12 selection. That's only one of them got some All Big 12 on. It's just
all right. Well, in Iowa State, when have they actually produced a good tight end? I mean, they don't have a history of good tight ends, do they?
That's a great. Yeah, Iowa State doesn't have any tight ends in the NFL or that have been all first team All Big 12ers recently. Like I can't think of a single one. Yeah, why would you trust that coaching staff as a tight end? I have no idea.
Yeah. What I will, I know what we're doing here, but I think from his positional standpoint, like he's picking. I mean, all 4 of those schools are really tight end friendly, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, if you're looking at it from Ian Premer's perspective, seems like it's a pretty good situation for a tight end. Like no matter where you're going.
Yeah, Notre Dame's putting plenty in the NFL. Kansas State just put Ben Sinnott in the NFL and had the most touchdown catches by a tight end group as a whole last year. KU, they had Fairchild, that was really good, and obviously that position's kind of transformed since Lance Leipold got there, and Iowa State had a good history of tight ends under Matt Campbell.
Yeah,
who's the tight end that Iowa State put in the NFL? They had the one that was supposed to be preseason all first team, and he hasn't really done much in the NFL, right? He's with the Ravens.
Well, Kolar's in the NFL, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Charlie Kohler and
Chase Allen was another really good one that they had there.
Yeah.
Just roll around.
Kohler was who I was thinking of. I just forgot his name because he's been so irrelevant at the next level. Sorry. I'll try to remember that next time.
Yeah, Cole, how many catches did Ben Sinnott have last year?
I think he had a touchdown. And he was a second-round pick. I think Charlie Kohler was, like a fourth-rounder? Charlie Kohler was part of the most overhyped team in the history of the Big 12 as Iowa State marched to a 7-6 finish in 2021 when they were supposed to be the big dog. So, and returned everybody after the flawed COVID season when they went 9-3 in 2020. That doesn't even count. But they did get to the Big 12 championship. But they did lose.
Cole is right. 4th round, Charlie Kohler.
Oh, 2nd round, Ben Sinnott.
But then shouldn't you be producing more at the NFL if it was a 2nd round pick?
No, they had Zach Ertz at tight end, John, and he had a great season in Washington. Okay, the veteran led the way. Now Ben Sinnott's being molded to be the future there, and he will be just fine. And K-State will be putting more tight ends at the next level here in the near future as well. And Ian Premer will join that long line as I have crystal balled him to Kansas State.
Whoa!
Now.
Whoa!
5 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown for Ben Sinnott last year.
Why? Didn't he? What happened in the playoff game? Did they use him in a fake punt in the playoff game or something like that?
I think so.
I feel like I remember Ben Sinnott. Yeah, look, all love to Ben Sinnott, man. He's awesome. I'm just trying to combat Cole, who is going overboard to try and combat DY and I for daring to say anything accurate and nice about Iowa State and or Kansas. DY, you have anything nice to say about Kansas here? Do we want to do the Kansas part of this too? We took some shit on the Discord for that too. Patreon.com/3mom.
They're giving they're offering a lot of money here, and that's why they're relevant for the most part.
Have we heard what Ian Premer thinks of the bridge, and is he worried about a human clog on the bridge like the Iowa State students were in the media interview from the 2023 show we did?
I don't know if you'd be more worried about that or you'd be more worried about the weird half-complete stadium that's going on in Lawrence, Cole. I figured maybe you'd go more that route, but...
Well, sorry, I don't know.
The Iowa State, and people do that a lot, I get it, but Iowa State Stadium is kind of like 3 puzzle pieces that don't go to the same puzzle.
Well, it looks like the Jumbotron in the one end zone looks like it's like a bridge overpass sign that the video board's being hung on. And then you've got a 12-foot 12 square foot press box up there that leaks plumbing. And yeah, it's this kind of like pieced together in different parts. So it's definitely a unique design.
A unique design.
Yeah.
It'd be nice in case they could win there.
They did win there in 2022, 10-9. So
that was when your marginal
were your children born then, or like what?
My kids were all
it was 3 years ago, John. Yeah, like it was 3 decades ago.
K-State also won there in my presence in 2012 and 2014 and I believe 2016.
Yes, they did win in 12, 14, and 16.
And 10.
And 22, because that's when Malik Knowles almost took John's soul by fumbling at the 1 yard line.
Yeah. Also, if what's-his-face would have made a catch, they would have been lining up for the game-winning field goal. Their best
Xavier Hutchinson. He might have had money on the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, quite literally, DY. We know what happened not very long after that with the.
Yeah, he was in the gambling stuff. Yes.
Was he?
No, I don't think he was. He wasn't listed.
I don't think Xavier Hutchinson was in the gambling thing.
We don't want to get sued here for slandering him.
This is why I have to be I'm just Discord. Let it be known. This is why I have to try and maintain some level of accuracy here, so that we don't get sued.
Cole, do you also hate the Houston Texans now because they have 3 Iowa State receivers?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of drop balls that'll be going on out there on that field. So, no, I don't hate the Houston Texans. They'll be fine. I mean, I'll root for their failure now that they have 3 Iowa State receivers with Xavier Hutchinson in the club too, and then what Noel. What's the other one? Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about him too already. So, okay.
So we used this first segment just to make fun of the other schools in the mix. Okay.
No, I mean I've crystal balled Premer, but you guys yelled at me. So
you guys did. I made one Jake Waters joke, and that is it. All right.
I didn't even. I just conversed.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. The battle lines have been drawn here. Look, my stances are pretty clear. Okay, Nick got frustrated at me last show, I think, because Cole was calling. See, Cole last show said Kansas has been a thorn in K-State's side, and I said, can you be a thorn in someone's side if you never win? And that got at Nick a little bit, people. Okay, so see, I will be accurate. Iowa State has won 4 of the last 5 football games. All right, Chris Kleiman needs to beat Matt Campbell before I can really fully jump back on that train. He needs to arm me with some ammo here. I don't have the ammo.
I think this show got popular in the first year because of how many times we went off the rails, and I think we've returned to that mode for this particular episode.
Dude, it's June 23rd. Listen, I was trying to do a YouTube show last night. I mean, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like I was listening to Josh Pate's show this morning that he did last night, and his lead topic was, hey, there's a lot of chaos in the world right now, so college football chaos scenarios. Here's what could happen. We're in June, so
Are we 2 months out from the season today?
Yes.
This is the
the game is August 23rd. Good call out.
Thank you, man. That's exciting. Hope we don't lose, because that would be really insufferable to have to eat crow for everything.
Yeah, he sure would. Which is why.
Hope we don't lose.
I hope we win. Also, hope we win because it would be quite devastating to lose the season opener, which also counts as a league game. So, yeah.
We haven't really gone into that, but the dynamics of your season opener being week 0 in Ireland in a Big 12 game against Iowa State is pretty drastic.
Yeah, what if you lose Ian Premer right before that too to the Clones, man? That'd be even worse. I'm just trying to tie a nice.
Wait, is he going to commit this, you think, before July?
Yeah, what is this happening before July, DY?
I will say it happens before August. I don't know. Nick says no. It'll happen in July.
There you go. Producer Nick says in July, everybody. So there we go. Breaking news. we got it all covered here. Okay. Is there anything left to say on Ian Premer before we take a break and talk about the rest of the commits recently?
I don't have a rock stone cold hard prediction, but like I said, I was hearing and feeling Iowa State before he went to Manhattan. Now, there's some momentum on the K-State side, not enough for me to really put my neck out there and say Kansas State, though.
I'll say Kansas State.
Yeah, but you already crystal balled it, so I mean, we already knew that, right?
Yeah, just to be clear, though, I have no actual reporting or backing to make that announcement, but that's
Vibes only.
Vibe check. Aura check.
It's
Did I
just
use that right? Aura check. Is that right? No, wrong framing.
I just think it's a little bit reckless, Cole, but I guess you did try to do it on PJ Haggerty, and I tried to stop you, and that worked out well. So
yeah, I'm called it wish casting, and probably gonna do it again on me, aren't you? So
well, this one is 100% wish casting. Yes, 100%. Okay, speaking of K-State gonna land a big. What's happening there? K-State gonna land a big?
Is that the lead into the next?
I thought you were gonna be like, "Is K-State gonna land a big?" We'll talk about it when we come out of break.
That's all right.
I don't know, I guess we can talk about it. All right, we'll do it next.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching the games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdictions. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right. Well, you heard the question. K-State gonna land a big anytime soon?
I mean, it sounds like, at least from what I've gathered, is that they have a complete roster. So that either means they've exhausted all, efforts to get one, or they have one that just hasn't been announced. I don't know if Cole has anything further.
No, I don't. So we're still waiting on Tyreek Smith, right?
Yeah. Unless what I heard means they did get an answer on that. I really don't know. The last time I specifically checked on that was probably a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It was right before the house settlement got approved. So, and there was no conclusion yet at that point. Now with the house settlement getting approved, I believe some of these decisions that the NCAA is having to make are probably being handed out.
Yeah. And so
That's probably something I need to check soon.
I mean, hopefully it's this week. I mean, at this point, like we're almost to July, you would like to have an answer. And then, they're involved obviously still with Bryce Desire, which I think everybody thought that was over 10, 14 days ago, that he wasn't going to be able to get into any sort of school. KU was at one point the favorite. They weren't going to be able to get him in from the sounds of it. Then it sounded like everybody kind of given up, but that's not really the case. According to like Armin Jovic and some of those guys that cover the Euro market, it sounds like K-State is still trying there. And so we'll see if they can get him in and get through the visa stuff and get him eligible, et cetera, and make sure that he's eligible to play at K-State. So that sounds like, that's got to be done this week if it's going to happen before the NBA draft, was the latest that I had read last night. If not him, I think they've got a couple others that they're looking at, but I would guess the big, and we talked about this before, would come from Europe. No matter, even if it's Desire or it's somebody else, it's probably going to be somebody that comes from overseas.
In terms of Desire, I'm not the most optimistic myself, because I think I've heard like 5 different times it's done, or like not happening done. So like it feels like it's a little bit of a uphill climb.
Would you say, DY, it might be like some little bit of like frosting on the cake if you get it, a little dessert? I was trying to make a nice like
icing
on there.
Icing
on the cake. Yeah.
I knew you were going to make a bad pun. I had a feeling.
Yeah. Well, at least, hey, I'm proud of Cole for calling him Desire right off the bat. Like, no hesitation there.
I'm doing better, guys. I'm trying to get better at my pronunciation on things.
That was good. We're all about self-improvement here on Three Mom.
What's that little thing that helps you like with languages? Like Cole's probably
Duolingo?
Yeah, Cole's learning different languages.
Well,
you have to for the basketball team.
You're covering college basketball recruiting these days. That's kind of a necessity. You need a law degree to cover college athletics as a whole, and then you need different languages to cover college hoops recruiting. The Tyreek Smith thing, though, like it's so frustrating. Like, I understand the NCAA has a lot of fish to fry right now or whatever, but like, don't you have to also? You've got to be working some backup plans probably there too while you wait for the appeal.
Yeah, you would think. And I don't know if this is the case. This is me just kind of hypothesizing more than anything. But as we've all noticed, the NCAA is finally starting to win the majority of cases in court. When they get sued, they're actually starting to have a much better record. So I wonder if that compels them to maybe draw a harder line on some of these decisions.
We'll see. It'd be nice to have a decision by the end of, I don't know, June. What happened? Do we get an Ian Premer commit before we get a ruling on Tyreek Smith's appeal? That'd be a good like under further review question, huh, Cole?
Yeah, that would be a good under further review question. That gets me excited for football season, thinking about you teeing something like that up for the outline. And then quick hitter. Quick hitters. Yeah.
Now, it was under further review in the Power Cat game day era.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also, it'd be nice to get the schedule at some point here soon. So
we have basketball. It's like, we have the football schedule.
Yeah, no, I know we have the football schedule. I want to see. I want to see if we can go to Indiana. I want to see when that's going to fall on the schedule, and see if I can get in the back of DY's car and have it fly up, and my suitcase fly out on the road again. So you'll probably fly that trip though. That's pretty good.
You might be able to convince me to go to Indiana, Cole, if you want to go.
All right. We're in. 3 Mall live in Bloomington. On the scene. Boots on the ground reporting.
Probably like outside it'll be like in a stairwell, like it was in Madison Square Garden after K-State wins.
Hey, Tulsa announced their schedule and Kansas State was on it, so we know that Tulsa is on the schedule at home.
American Athletic Conference team, November 17th.
The last series against Tulsa did not go well, as John reminded us, I think in the group chat.
No, that was you.
Oh,
that was you. I was like,
that was you, TY. You literally texted that last night. You're like, Tulsa gets back PTSD.
Like, honestly, I had forgotten about it. I was like, oh, those were some brutal games. The Big 12 championship team, didn't they win like 50-49 at Tulsa or something?
I thought they lost.
They lost. John, they
gave you Tulsa?
Well, it was either the Big 12 championship team or the year before that went to the Elite 8.
Elite 8 team, I think. They lost 2 of 3 to Tulsa.
Yeah, they went to Tulsa and they only they shot the ball awful. They were under 50 points for sure in that game. And then did they play them in KC and
It was a
lose?
home in KC, I think.
Did they lose the KC one?
The Big 12 champion, Kansas State Fighting Wildcats, on Saturday, December 8th, 2018, lost 47-46 at Tulsa.
And I'm sure we all saw a Big 12 championship coming after that one.
Yeah.
So,
Boy, what a game.
I think they got smoked by Marquette like the week before that, or like 2 weeks before that in Marquette. So
I
Boy,
remember the Marquette game. I thought it was close. They played the Lavender. That was a Lavender game.
they didn't get smoked. Yeah, I don't think maybe smoked is the right. Well, so they played them in Milwaukee that year, I
Oh.
think, and they had played them in Manhattan too. It was a really close game, but they lost both.
Okay, I was thinking the Manhattan one.
Yeah.
Barry Brown and Kamau Stokes combined to go 4 for 24 against Tulsa. Dean Wade had 2 points. He was outscored by Levi Stockard in that game. So
Great
that
game.
was good. This is a box score, boys. This is awesome.
I'm sure Levi Stockard and Mac Mulwayne both had 4 fouls or fouled out.
Let's see. That's a good call out. Levi Stockard had only 3 fouls in 6 minutes. Pretty good.
Wow. A foul for 2 minutes.
That was like his card every game. 3 or 4 fouls, 9 minutes.
What a show. What a show we're having today. Levi Stockard getting shout outs.
Mac had 3 fouls in 9 minutes, so a little bit.
I told you the fouls per minute they are impressive.
Why did our 2 primary bigs play 15 minutes combined? Why did we just go small?
Who else played the 5? Yeah.
Well, James Love got 1 minute, so he got on the court.
So
Austin Trice. Austin
Trice was on that team. I forgot.
Austin Trice played 7 minutes, did not record a point, had 1 shot, missed it.
That's still minutes left over.
There's still like 18 minutes without a center on the court, but maybe Bruce Weber was ahead of his time and went 5 out.
Xavier Sneed
Played the 5.
Xavier Sneed had 10 rebounds and played 35 minutes, so I don't know.
He played the 5.
Yeah.
No wonder they lost that game.
Oh, we can start doing the flashbacks like Mason's doing over at On 3 on KSO. Why we can do it for hoops. This day, 2017-18, we recall Tulsa K-State basketball box score.
Sean Neal Williams got into that game. That really is what a box score that is, man.
Wait, wasn't Sean Neal Williams was on the Big 12 championship team?
Yes, it puts some respect on his name. He is a Big 12 champion.
I didn't even know Austin Trice was on that team because I thought Mod Wainwright.
He was on that team. John, aside from Javon Thomas, as far as like an eye miss from my eyes and thinking he would be better than he was, Sean Neal Williams, I was incredibly high on when K-State landed him, and that did not pan out.
Yeah, same here. Okay, K-State lost 61-54 to Tulsa the year before. Where was that game
I
played?
think that was in KC.
KC?
What
Okay.
was the score?
61-54.
Man, these Bruce Weber ball, those scores are ugly.
Kamau Stokes and Barry Brown combined to go 7 for 26 in that game. So very, very similar.
They just Tulsa put the clamps on those two.
Now PJ Haggerty will get revenge on the Hurricanes.
Oh my goodness.
Former team.
Some of the names of these box scores, man. Some of the guys, God love you, Bruce. Some of the dudes that were slumming around the bottom of these rosters. You guys want to name? All right, so I'm going to do a little trivia here. Shout out to the Bosco's boys. I've been binging Bosco's boys trivia because Cole told me about his appearance on it recently. So I listened to a bunch of them this weekend. Little trivia question for you. So McCall Mayween started, as did Dean Wade in the front court. I guess you could say Xavier Sneed as well. Off the bench, we have Levi Stockard and one other big. Could you name me the other big? I'm going to count Ahmad Wainwright as like a wing. So there's one other big besides Levi Stockard. He played 5 minutes, did not record a point, and had 3 fouls.
And it's not James Love.
Not James Love. Not somebody I've mentioned already.
I'm sure it's not Maldu Sala. I don't know if you
That is exactly who the hell it is, DY.
Yeah. Maldu Sala.
Mato Sala.
Nice pull, DY. I'd forgotten about him.
It might have been the only game he played.
It appears that he finished his career at Radford because when I pull up his bio on ESPN, he's playing for Radford. So, yeah.
Nigel Shad not get on the court that game, John.
Oh, that's a good pull.
He's not, but there is a guard. There is a guard that played 2 minutes.
Ryan Patrick.
Oh, for what? Yep, Brian Patrick.
Also, a guy that when the game wasn't happening would shoot the lights out, but when the game started, he could no longer shoot. It was the weirdest thing.
Man,
he was supposed to be the sniper, and he was not.
Well,
no good news. Capagel. That's about the only other name I think I've got left at this point.
Brian Patrick was at least a good teammate, unlike another shooter that K-State brought in by Trey Harris and the Marcus Foster years. Was it Trey Harris?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was okay.
Yeah.
Lit with there was a Trey Harris in the NFL draft, but
yeah, no, Trey Harris came in to be a shooter. Yeah,
I guess DY that would have been before your time. Marcus Foster era was before your time. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forget about that. Yeah, that was like a year or two before DY got here. Okay, so
great segment.
Yeah,
I got to talk about any of the other K-State commits on the football side.
We could take a break and regroup, and then talk about the football commitments. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
All right, bunch of football commits that got ripped off while you were gone, DY. The only thing we mentioned was Lawson McGraw, but simply so I could make the point that he's John McGraw's son, but also that he attends Blue Valley West High School and was not born when I graduated in 2007.
We're getting old.
Yeah. H.D. Davis, a running back.
High definition.
You know what? I'm going to read the names, DY, and I will let you take where you want to start here. Lawson McGraw, H.D. Davis, Nick McClellan, Hannibal Navies, Maxwell Lovick, Garrett Dixon, Kingston Hall.
Okay, I'll just say a little blurb on Lawson McGraw, obviously legacy commit from John's alma mater high school in the Overland Park area, but good athlete. I'm not trying to besmirch anyone here, but this isn't like a handout type of legacy offer is what I would say. And he's got the traits to be a solid contributor in Manhattan when he reaches his potential. And typically kids like this that are good fits at K-State will maximize themselves enough to where they are a contributing member of the football team. So I think I like the pickup. Position wise, it's probably pretty open. He could play linebacker, DN, tight end. Now I will say there is a scenario if Kansas State doesn't get Ian Premer, that Lawson McGraw becomes your tight end in this class. I think that is potential. H.D. Davis, speed comes to mind real quick there. I think once they lost out on Zephan Walker, who picked Oklahoma, I think they kind of went to H.D. Davis right away, and he committed on the spot during his visit. So a speedy back, actually. So don't let the stereotypes get you on that one. He can play a little bit.
What Derek means is that H.D. Davis is a white running back.
Thanks, John. Are you my interpreter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hannibal Navies is a safety that I think most would assume that he was going to be the backup plan, but it was actually the first safety they took. So I think they like him a whole lot better than most realize. I don't know of any other Power 4 offers on that one specifically, but someone that they really targeted early in June and took when they didn't have to because of the timing. So it tells you how much they like him. And then I'm trying to go through here. Kingston Hall, don't think we talked about him yet. It might be the best high school defensive tackle that they've added since Coach Tui been the coach. I mean, under Chris Kleiman at all, since Tui's been here every year, Kleiman. Kingston Hall, I think, has a potential to get in the 4-star neighborhood. He's not necessarily there yet. Right now, he's like a mid 3-star. It wouldn't surprise me if he becomes a high 3-star, that type of player. They beat Baylor, who really, really wanted him as well. So that was a really good head-to-head recruitment. Maxwell Lovett, receiver from Colorado, same situation. He was a 4-star. He was a 3-star. 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 He was high school is Oliver Miller, the offensive tackle commit to Cherry Creek High School in the Denver area, the biggest high school in Colorado, a notorious powerhouse program in that state. Again, no Power 4 offer as well to him. I don't believe so, but we were told, we were given his name, months ago, actually, like 4 or 5 months. They've had their eye on him. I wonder if they kind of wanted to keep him under the radar a little bit so that he was more attainable when they did pounce. And obviously that worked, but they worked him out at camp, I think, to maybe confirm or validate and verify some of the things that they liked. And obviously they liked what they saw because they took him right on the spot. Garrett Dixon, guy could be a corner or safety, got positional versatility in the defensive backfield. He's from the St. Louis area. Head-to-head win over Iowa State. Like, Iowa State really wanted him. Kansas State came in, landed him, and he canceled his visit to Ames on top of that. And then I think the last one to talk about is Nick McClellan, a safety also from the St. Louis area, just committed to the Wildcats. He got an Iowa offer just before he took his official visit to K-State, committed on the spot. He's also camped at K-State 3 times. They love him. But after committing to the Wildcats, I believe this past weekend, he was also visited Iowa. So we'll see if that one gets dicey whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a defender at Iowa, like, I know Iowa is kind of a punchline, but that is, solid program that turns out a lot of really good pros on the defensive side of the ball and plays really good defense. So we'll see. Monitor that. But Cole, you have any thoughts specifically on these guys before we talk big picture on the recruiting class?
The only thing I would add, like, to your point on McClellan, the fact that Iowa wants him and brought him in for an official visit makes you feel good about the fact that you had landed him, because Iowa is really good at evaluating defensive players, especially in the secondary as well. But obviously him taking an official visit right after committing to K-State is not a great sign. Love it. A guy that's, a burner, got some speed. I watched his film. Yeah, I think he's an under the radar type that maybe could be a pretty good player. 10.59, 100 meter. Kingston Hall, what DY said, sub, for a defensive tackle at 270, 280 pounds, running a sub 12-second 100 meter. It's pretty darn impressive. So that's a kid that can move.
By far the best high school defensive tackle they've signed under Kleiman, in my opinion. And going back to Lovett real quick, I had 2 different people give me a Jace Brown comp on him.
Okay. Yeah, Jace Brown was someone who, we were not thinking about, we're super pumped for Jace Brown to come here when he got on campus. That was not a recruit. That was a Harold Flynn.
Him and Austin Romaine, I think, were the 2 worst ranked kids in that class.
That's probably right. I don't think Jace Brown had a P4 offer from anywhere else. It was like South Florida, maybe, and a few other schools. And then I think he was rated as the 3rd or 4th best receiver in that K-State class, because you had Andre Davis, who obviously didn't pan out. And then there was one other that was ranked above him as well. And then the kid, Wesley Watson, who left after 1 year and walked on at Texas A&M. So, and I can't remember there was a 3rd receiver outside of Jace in that class. But yeah, I think that comp makes some sense.
Jace had offers from Tulane, Charlotte, Georgia State, Navy, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky.
Yeah. I think Lovett might add like a Boston College offer, which if you count that as a P4 offer nowadays. But yeah.
And making some harsh words on Boston College there, right?
Well, yeah. Still should have beat Nebraska in the bowl.
I was actually looking at the class of receivers with Jace. You were right. Andre Davis, Wesley Watson. The other one was Trey Spivey.
Oh,
yeah. That's what we were excited about. I did see. I have no idea what this meant. It's not accurate, but Athlon's prediction for Arizona, their preview for Arizona, had him projected as a starter.
I could see that. I think they were pretty void of talent after the Jed Fish departure.
Yeah, a lot of dudes left.
That'll be interesting to watch. K-State plays them September 13th in Tucson, or 12th, September 12th, Friday night.
It's a Friday. Yeah.
Wacky.
Big picture with this recruiting class, there is some, I think, fan frustration here that it's not as exciting as the past couple recruiting classes have been, where they've had some really high profile wins, some of those high profile in-state wins. I guess, what would you say, DY? I know there's a lot of factors here, financially, having to commit a lot of resources to keeping the current roster around. maybe holding some back to see what happens later on in this recruiting class. Your in-state rival obviously is having its best run here, where they're definitely spending more than they typically do. I think all these things are factors that's driving some of the fan sentiment about this recruiting class right now. But how much do you attribute each one of those things to what has happened here, and what is your overall feel on, like, should people be concerned about the recruiting class?
To be honest, I think it's a solid recruiting class. I think they're looking at the rankings a little bit too, and I think some of them are less than desirable right now because they're not thorough or complete. We're in a recruiting era right now, in my opinion, that June is so important, and schools use June now more than anything, more than ever, for recruiting. So some guys just surface a little bit later, and so you're seeing rankings as a product of that don't really become more firm and concrete or thorough until around the August time. So if we get to August and these rankings are still kind of meh, I get it. But I think there's a chance that a chunk of these guys are going to get a little bit of a boost between now and the end of August when the rankings get a little bit more, like I said, complete and thorough. So I think that's actually a pretty significant factor here, because if you look at all these guys that they've taken, when we talked about this, or I mentioned it before we went on the air, there's only like 4 guys that don't, I mean, maybe that's a lot to some people, but there's only, I think, 4 guys that don't have another Power 4 offer. I mean, you're still winning a lot of significant head-to-head, high-profile recruiting battles against some peer Power 4 programs. I mean, I'm just going through here, and I can mention at least one school a piece for some of these guys. For DJ Ackerson, that was definitely, Oklahoma State was involved and really wanted him. Oklahoma was at one point wanting him until they pulled back. Keegan Collins, Texas Tech. Brandon Ford, TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor. Miles Tedecki, that one actually, the quarterback, that one actually slipped in mind. Was it Vanderbilt that offered him?
Did they? I can't remember if they offered him. But ESPN just put him as the 12th ranked quarterback on their rating.
Yeah, he's a 4-star on ESPN, and Cincinnati offered Miles Tedecki. Sorry
That's
for
right.
Not getting that. Bennett Frazier, you went head to head and beat an SEC team in Missouri for him, right? Nick McClellan, he committed. He has an Iowa offer. He has, I think, 2 or 3 other Power 4 offers, and he just visited Iowa. Justin Morales, Texas Tech, really, really wanted him too. LaMarcus Barber, I think, is just K-State, but he's the one of the in-state kids you got. Garrett Dixon, you beat Iowa State for. Kingston Hall, you beat Baylor for. Oliver Miller, I think you beat plenty of teams for. The off the tackle out of Colorado. So I think people need to keep some of that into perspective as well, because I think there's recency bias a little here with the 3 or 4 that don't have another Power 4 offer were some of the more recent commitments. And as John alluded to, there is a sense of resource allocation here. Do you want them to spend all their money on some of these high school kids that may or may not be good? Or do you want them to lose, like a Toby Osunsami, Chidi Obiizor, Jace Brown, any of the offensive linemen? Are you out right? So Kansas State's different. KU didn't have anyone to really retain because a lot of their starters basically lost eligibility after last year because they were all seniors. Kansas State still wanted to keep a core of their roster for this year, and they'll probably need more money again next year to keep them and go on chance to win the Big 12, maybe in back-to-back seasons. We'll see. So when you do that, then you don't have as much for an incoming class. So it's all about resource allocation, but they're holding back some too, because when December comes around, you always have to fight for some of your commits because teams come around poking and offer them more money. So then you have to offer more money to stay, right? That happens. Or if you want to flip someone else, you need money to go over the top of them. And obviously they have some right now where they're going to try to make a big push for Ian Premer now. So it's all resource allocation now. It's more NFL general manager than really recruiting at this point.
And has maybe changed a little bit now too, to where, I mean, we are now under the House settlement. You know, people have doubts about how well that's going to hold up, but theoretically, you now have this cap to worry about instead of just freely spending the money all over the place. I mean, you know, I don't know how exactly internally you're supposed to handle that, but
I don't know either. And I think that's part of the challenge for some coaching staffs.
Yeah, but it would be prudent with that perhaps to not go full Texas Tech, right now, for instance. Put it that way.
Yep.
So yeah, and with the Power 4 offers, like I know some people scoff at that, like, oh, like that's the bar or whatever. I mean, well, it's kind of, K-State's program relies on a lot of guys like this. Iowa State's program relies on a lot of guys like this. And nobody will want to hear it. But like I saw some comps like, oh, it feels like Snyder 2.0 at the end of that. Dude, by the end of Snyder 2.0, I mean, it was like 1 out of every 4 guys maybe had other P4 offers. Like there were not guys with other Power 4 offers. That was just not happening there. So
I think there was classes where he only signed 3 or 4 guys that had another Power 4 offer.
Yeah, it got pretty bleak. Got pretty.
They're pretty good at identifying more under the radar type guys and developing them. We just talked about Jace Brown and Austin Romaine, which are 2 of your lower ranked guys, and so. I think they're good at that. And, look, I do get it. Like, it is a little bit underwhelming on paper right now as they sit because 3 of your 16 commits are in the top 1,000 nationally in the On3 industry consensus. And in the last few years, you had like 8, 9 guys in the top 1,000, 5, 6 in the top 500 nationally, especially as you look at like the 2023 class that had Avery and all those other kids that we talked about. But to what DY said, 14 of the 16 commits currently have not been evaluated by at least one of the 4 recruiting services that is in that, in the mix of that On3 consensus number. And so once they get evaluations in, that will go up. Now there will only be 3 recruiting services starting July 1st when Rivals moves off. But Rivals is one of those services that hasn't evaluated a lot of these commits. Now, when they get off the books, the On3 industry consensus numbers will change. But what DY already said, like most of these guys have, P4 offers. K-State's been pretty good at evaluating guys. Some of these guys have camped in front of them. They're really good when they get to see them in person at a camp and deciding they really want somebody. Garrick Dixon was a guy like that he was too good to pass up after they saw him at a camp. McClellan, too. We'll see if they can hang on to him at the safety spot. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Premer stuff can certainly sway how this class is viewed, right? Because if you land the top player in the state of Kansas, just like you did with Lincoln Cure the year before. I guess Cure was technically number 2, DY? Because
I get that mixed up every time too. Because Andrew Babalola was technically number 1.
You're not used to having 2 top 30, top 40 kids in the state of Kansas in the same class, and so Babalola technically number 1. Did he go to Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay. So still though, if you can land another, borderline 5-star kid out of the state, that'll change how this class is perceived, for sure.
Yeah. That'll, and I understand the anxieties that people have about that, considering everybody else that is included there, and some of that probably I should have mentioned that too in terms of fan sentiment that probably builds with some of this too.
Well, and 2 of your lower rated guys are running back commits, and Tanner West and HD Davis, but Brian Anderson in K-State's has a pretty darn good track record at running back, right?
You want to know something? HD Davis and Tanner West, you're correct in terms of being some of the lower ranked guys. They're still both ranked higher than DJ Giddens.
Oh, and I mean, like HD Davis, to your point, DY, like I turned on the film. That kid can run. Now, like, what's his wiggle like? I don't know, like his agility, but a straight ahead speed. He's pretty impressive. 2,700 yards rushing. I know not against the highest level of competition in the state of Texas that he was going up against, but 2,700 yards rushing in a season, and he's blowing by guys. So, yeah, he's got some speed to him.
Yeah, it's interesting that a couple of the kids they took out of Texas. Now, I think probably lower levels of Texas probably is maybe comparable even to some of the medium or higher levels of Kansas. So I wouldn't sneeze on it too much. Texas high school football is kind of a behemoth, but they got 2 of like the most productive Texas high school football players there is, in HD Davis and Miles Tedecki, the quarterback.
Yeah, it's if you're going to be taking productive guys from one state, Texas is probably number 1. Is anybody doing it better than Texas these days? In California, are we considering anywhere?
I mean,
Florida, yeah.
People will bring up Texas, California, Florida. Georgia, I would say.
Yeah, Georgia, man. Yeah. Good call. Oh, to be in the SEC and have the proximity to all that talent. Anyway, look, I'm not telling you can't be frustrated, but I do think some of the frustration maybe is a little bit overboard. And again, June, like we're in June, people need something to be frustrated and upset about. Anything else before we go, football recruiting wise? Any parting words here? Cole, any parting words about Iowa State that you'd like to get in as the resident counterweight to me and DY saying nice things?
No, I would just throw in though on the Iowa State thing, right, DY, that they're Notre Dame and Iowa State are both chasing Jacobson, a 4-star tight end, right? He's likely to end up at one of the two.
Yeah, he's going to end up in one of the two. I would lean towards Notre Dame at this point, and I think Notre Dame also is going to get another tight end in Friesel. So Notre Dame very quickly could be adding 2 tight end commits themselves.
Yeah, so essentially one of those two in that top final 4 for Premer are going to be eliminated probably from the mix, assuming wherever Jacobson goes. So, I mean, both schools would take him, but I doubt he would go, to one of those.
Right. All right. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you up to date. Obviously, so stay tuned here on 3 Get your Ben Holiday bottled in Bond Bourbon. Might need some for the rest of this recruitment. We'll see how it goes. 360 vodka as well from our good friends at Holiday Distillery. Thank you for their support. Thank you to Nick Springer behind the scenes. Nick, I forgot. I just realized. Damn it. I didn't mention the golf tournament. All right. Hold on. 1 second. Yes. KCSN Foundation's 4th annual Tacos and Bourbon golf tournament is coming up. That is on August 18th. Ooh, we're getting close to my birthday there. Monday, August 18th, starting at 11 a.m. at Creekmore Golf Course. Noon shotgun start there. So if you want more details on that, if you want to be a part of this, make sure to check out the link in the description of the video, the KCSN Foundation Tacos and Bourbon golf tournament. Yes, DY.
What?
You raised your hand. You had something.
Oh, I can't wait to celebrate John's birthday with K-State and Ireland, watching it together, kicking their ass,
Well, my birthday is 3 days after the game.
Well, we'll celebrate early.
Okay. All right. Yeah, fine. Are you paying for my flights or how's that?
No, I'm not saying we're going to Ireland. That's probably not what I was saying. I'm just going to watch it with you somewhere here.
Got it.
Okay. Maybe a live watch party show. We'll see.
I was going to say we are trying to give Cole additional culture these days and languages, but I guess they speak the same language, so that wouldn't help.
Yeah. I don't know, but we'll go, well, maybe for the accent,
But I am brushing up, guys, on my German, so I can interview Elias Rapique on the show.
Is Serbian? Yeah.
Isn't there don't they have this is Serbia a language? Is there Serbian or is they have English?
Come on. Is Serbia a language?
It's a country.
I know it's a country. I didn't know. Do they speak Serbian or is it English? Because I thought I heard Andre Kostic say talk in English at one point.
He's probably bilingual.
That's the next T-shirt. We've got the T-shirt that says "College football runs through me," and we'll get it.
Go get stocked up on your
3 merchandise.
Is Serbia a language?
All right. Before this gets any worse, let's cut this off. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us on a June show. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.